Mr. Hahn, same question.
Okay, I think that the drug and gang problem, there's really a short-term and long-term. I think we need to continue with the enforcement that we have with our gang and drug task force that we have with the police department. Actually, the county cut that out of their budget this last year, so that puts an extra burden, as gangsters don't honor city boundaries or county boundaries. They go where they can do it, what they do. So we need to provide better and more support for the policing in our community. There's different ways to do that through. I'm talking to a company that's actually providing security services in some of the neighborhoods, and what is that going to look like if we use that in the airport neighborhood? But the long-term problem is, we talk about some of the countries in South America like Colombia and how bad they are for producing all those drugs, but if we didn't buy them, if we didn't have an appetite, they wouldn't be producing them. And so we have to get it at the base root. And I believe that, and this is through quite a bit of research and study through our own people, they have said, our community leaders said, we need to help families, because it's the breakdown of the family and the family values that have the result. The result of that is all the things that we don't like about a community: gangs, violence, teen pregnancy. Do you know that Stanislaus County is the leading county in California for child molestation? That's because our families have been destroyed, and because of our socioeconomic situation, it's worse here than it is other places. We need to work on families, and that's why I've introduced programs that piloted at Overwright School this summer, and we're going to do another pilot program in 4 elementary schools. It's going to get family values and principles into the school system and then home to the children. It's being used right now at the maximum security at Juvenile Hall, and it's just it's a long-term solution now.
Thank you. Mr. Zalaki?
I have to redress a previous question just a little bit about 600 acres being ready for industrial use. I do not believe that to be accurate. There may be some available, but a lot of it is tied up with lawsuits and litigation right now, because it's going to be tied up for a number of years. Secondly, a lot of the property in Modesto that's industrial is in the wrong place. Beard Industrial Park's in the county, and if you want to buy it, you can't buy it. You can lease it only under certain circumstances. Very, very rarely will they sell to you. So I just want to straighten that record out. Number 2, when it comes to crimes and drugs, I do have a plan. I met with a guy named Ruben Borealis. He was a supervisor of San Mateo County. There's a city over there called East Palo Alto, murder capital of the United States. And he lowered the crime rate in East Palo Alto. So I met with him, and we went through a plan of what we can do in Modesto. And part of the things we can do is mobilize, and that's what I will do as mayor immediately, mobilizing our police and sheriff along with the FBI and the Drug Enforcement Agency, as well as the DEA and, excuse me for a minute, some local community groups. The reason that they are mobilized, their effectiveness is to become very visible in those areas through a tactic that they use in East Palo Alto. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's very effective. The local groups are involved because they're connected within the groups. There's a Hispanic culture that largely comes from the immigrant or the undocumented worker that are being used right now by drugs and gangs through human trafficking, through the chaos that they create, that's creating this problem. And that's what we have to focus our crime and drug eradication problem around. It's going after that gang unit. But if you don't have the confidence of those that live in the neighborhood, if they don't have the confidence that they can report crime, which I've talked to many down there about that, if they don't have the confidence to report it, it's not getting reported. Crime is seen all the time by those that live in those areas, but they're afraid to report it. So that's the process that Ruben used. It was successful, and it can be successful in Modesto, and I intend to implement it.
Thank you. Mr. Marsh, what do you think is the most pressing issue for the city's next mayor?
Jobs have to be the most pressing, really. We have budget problems. We've had budget problems, and are going to continue to have budget problems this next year. But I think that those are solvable. We've been solving them for the last 3 years. We've been ahead of the curve. Really, we need to get our economy going. The way you fix budget problems, is to have more jobs, so you're generating more tax dollars, that we can bring in and hire the police that we need, put our services back, the way they were to where we have, and I don't think we've ever had adequate policing, but at least bring it up to a level that is acceptable. Bring our trees, trimming back to where it should be, repair our roads the way they should be. Hopefully the state will quit taking our money. But it really goes back to business, bringing business here, encouraging business, and really increasing the vibrancy of our whole business facilities here so that we can have the revenues that we need to provide the services that the citizens of Modesto deserve.
Thank you. Mr. Ariola, same question.
Which was?
What do you think is the most pressing issue for our city's next mayor?
Provided with recovery from the recession and the budget. I mean, jobs, education, and medical are another one. Those three issues are for the public uses and the services. What else we have? Just preparations for returnees and people coming from prisons, people coming from the Middle East. And job security, perhaps. And right here in Modesto, there isn't any, because it's cap and salary, lowering the rates for employment and unemployment and revenues. And also, there's a bigger issue coming up is inflation taxes. So we're going to have a lot more budgets coming. There's going to be real hard solutions. What I can do personally is already provide the money and the grants for the budget cut in Modesto as a mayor, since I work with the Democrats, and you have to have the inside, the foot like in the door thing, in order to work with them, bring it to the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Zalaki, same question.